Greetings everyone, welcome to Chess Advanced, and this game was played in the katiwice 2025 and with the white pieces. Now this is game 3, game 1 with Gukesh 1 and game 2 Duda strikes back, and in this is game 3 and Gukesh again with the white pieces, so he may have a chance to actually take the lead. So without further ado, let's start with this game. We have a huge ground to cover up. We have knight to f3, knight to f6, just c4, d6 and just d4, knight bd7 and just knight to c3. We have e5, g3, and here just going for the two knights variation or the Indian defense, and here we're going for just bishop to e7, bishop to g2, but just the castles, and here just rook to e8, and here just b3. Very nice move, putting this bishop on this very nice diagonal, and here just c6, e4, but here just bishop to f8, rook to e1, a6, but just d5, and here we have c captures, but just b5, and in this position Gukesh goes for b4, not allowing any further advancement on the queen side. Maybe he's just interested in putting the knight here and maybe just some f4 ideas. It could be really good, but here just knight to b6 and we have a4, and stopping the advancement, then playing a4 is not, I think, the correct way to go for it. But here if it works, then there is no issue. Here bishop to d7 was played, but a captures and bishop to g5, but now comes this knight to a4, and now that knight is going to be a problem. If you capture, then you get a free pass pawn, so not something you want to do. But here just queen to d3, but just knight captures, queen captures, bishop to e7, and here just queen to d3 at 6, but here just bishop moves back, queen to b6, and now we have bishop to d3 attacking the queen, queen to b7, h3, but now here just rook to a4, just targeting that pawn, because if that pawn is eliminated, that is going to become a very strong pass pawn. It's going to be difficult to defend. Knight to d2, but here just rook caps on b4, so Gukesh gives it up, but does he have sufficient compensation to show for a free pawn and basically creating a very strong pass pawn for his opponent? Here rook to a7 was played, but now just comes this queen to c8, but here just rook a to e1. We have rook to a4, asking for a rook trade, and you could potentially you could trade, but then you get this, and that's not, because that's backed by this bishop, so you have to understand that that's going to be a pass pawn. You don't want to give your opponent a bit too much. Here king to h2, but just rook caps on a1, rook captures, queen to b8, and knight to b3, but just rook to c8. We have rook to a6, just very nice rook lift. Also, if the queen moves, this pawn is going to be in the back of the pawn chain, always weak pawns. They are going to be targeted either way. Bishop to d8, but here just we have knight to a5, just trying to get this knight here. I mean, currently it's not doing anything, but in the future that could be a very nice square. Bishop captures on a5, just eliminating any threats, because this is a pass pawn and it must be pushed. Rook captures on a5, but just b4, and here an immediate rook to a2 by Gukesh, and I don't think so this rook to a2 is the best move in this position, because the best move that you have to find is queen to b1. And idea behind it, that once you play this rook to c7, you play queen to a1, and now you can see that this is coming, and it's with the king on this line, you have to be careful. Queen to e8, but now just comes this rook to a8, rook to c8, rook to a6, but just b3, but then you have this rook captures, and you have gotten the pawn back. Although this pawn looks very scary, it's not going to do anything, because you have rook after rook to b8, just trying to put a rook behind a pass pawn, queen to b2, queen to c8. Now you just play this. After rook captures, bishop captures, queen jumps in, and it looks like a very scary position, but you can absolutely trade. Queen captures, b captures, bring the bishop back, and this pass pawn cannot go anywhere without any support. Bishop to b5, but here just king moves, and slowly after these you can see that it's impossible to do anything with that pass pawn, and the position is most likely going to end in a draw. But here after b4 we have rook to a2, and here just rook to c3 was played, attacking the queen, queen to a6, and just b3, but this just doesn't work, simply because here rook to b2 was played, but now just comes rook to c2, and how are you ever going to stop that pass pawn? You don't even have this in this position, and I mean, after the trade you don't even have this in this position to try and actually capture the pawn. But here just rook captures was played, b captures, but just queen to c4, trying to attack the pawn this way. But I think Gukesh missed a very important tactic in this position. Here queen to b1 was played. Now this is not a threat, because as long as these two are there guarding it, but here just comes bishop to f1, and here we have knight captures on e4, a very nice deflection tactic, because here if you capture this, then that actually becomes, and you have grabbed a pawn for free. You're already a pawn up, so position will be completely winning. Here bishop to d3 was played, but now comes this absolutely spectacular move by Duda in this position went for knight captures on f2. Absolutely brilliant move, because if you move here, then just queen comes, and if you don't do anything about that knight, you're getting mated the next move. So it's absolutely beautiful. There is, and it was on this move, on just move 38, that Gukesh Dommaraju with the white pieces resigned the game. So now it's going to be much more tough to bounce back with the black pieces in game 4. But let's see what happens in game 4, because this was just an absolute massacre, because there is no other way to put this. This is this was not the way you want to play with the white pieces, and not the result you expect with the white pieces as well. But hopefully he'll learn, and he'll learn much faster, because there is a new tournament coming up, Rapid and Blitz, from August 11 to 15. So hopefully he performs well there. Because why he resigned, there is nothing in this position. If you go for bishop to f1, it seems like a logical choice, not allowing the mate, and also guarding this. But now comes bishop caps on h3, and now what are you doing in this position? Because here, now if you play bishop caps on f2, because now that can be eliminated, because that is coming, but you don't have anything better to do. But after queen captures, going for this checkmate, you play queen caps on f1, bishop captures, and now you do have this. But you have to understand this bishop to c4, you capture this pawn, you move the bishop out of the way, you push these pawns, you get the king here, and this is just, I mean, 6 pawns to 1 is just there is no match here at all. There is no end game. It's completely over. So yeah, thank you all for watching. I'll be coming back with games like these, so stay tuned to the channel, subscribe to the channel. I will be showing game 4, so do stay tuned, and if you like the content, do subscribe, and I'll be seeing you guys very soon. Thank you all.